Okay, so this is Los Angeles on a smoggy day. That's
going to be somewhat humanoid, but have some kind of alien technology involved with it. So we did a lot of different designs, with different type of looks, but still kind of keeping a humanoid shape with it. Then that slowly evolved into we want to entertain any of the ideas or update that. And at that time it was just like, well, we can always go there, but let's just try something completely different. It was in the 50s. It's maybe people have forgotten about what Gort looks like, and so we can kind of just have free reign. So I played around with stuff that was completely non-human, somewhat like insect-like, just almost mechanical, knowing that eventually this creature was going to turn into all these aphids that this nanotechnology and break apart. It could turn into anything. So kind of played around with that type of idea. Well, I mean, it is challenging to redesign something that's already been made, and it seems like that's kind of the popular thing now, is to kind of recreate that. There's an excitement with that too, because if you're a fan of it, then you want to be a part of that process. And for the most part, for most of the films I've worked on, I am. So I feel very fortunate to be, part of that process. But there is that challenge. Like you're not going to make everybody happy. The fans are going to, if they're identified with the original, they're going to want something that feels like what they remember. But that's not necessarily what the studio or the director. It starts off, the director has an idea, comes to me as a designer, and I try to realize his idea, and then give him some of my feedback as far as, my ideas through it, and they may be completely different than what he thought, and he actually may love that. But then ultimately, yes, the studio will have their say on it, so there is somewhat of a committee, as far as like everybody involved. You have a production designer. A lot of times it may have some insight on the aesthetics of the, how the entire world works, and so that has to play into the character that was not really realized early on. So it's figuring out those scenarios and working together with the entire team to make the best sci-fi fan. So and a lot of the films I work on, are sometimes horror films. Many of them are sci-fi, but I'm just the whole space alien sci-fi that's my favorite. So when this job came around, it was just like, it was like a dream come true.
You're minding your business, exorcist.
Sci-fi was always, my thing. It's like, and I was going to be, and I was trying to be realistic. I grew up in Texas, and I wanted to figure out how I could create these, these images. And I kept thinking book covers, sci-fi book covers and stuff like that was going to be my career. And then, the film industry is just, too far away from, LA or Texas and stuff. And then I just decided right after high school to move to California. And I got lucky. A high school friend basically got me in the industry to do makeup effects. And then I realized, wow, I can design, I can sculpt, I can create these things, go on set. And so I fell in love with makeup effects without really actually realizing, that was going to be my career path. And then after many years of doing makeup effects, I saw Jurassic Park and realized, okay, I need to learn these 3D tools, because this is the wave of the future. And it's also it's sparked an interest in my imagination as a creative person. So I started learning them to be an animator. All these tools, and then got into animation for a while, and realized it was too much work, to animate. It was all about waiting for the renders and all that stuff. But in that process, I learned these tools to be able to create images that now are kind of my career now is designing creatures. So taking those the steps actually, you know, were great and perfect for me to actually get where I'm at today. My background, because of, you know, being in makeup effects, you know, I was designing creatures, you know, building creatures, you know, and prosthetics for actors, that I focused in that area. But I'm a big fan of all design, but my specialty really is characters based, you know, creatures and aliens and robots. And I'm a big fan of, I mean, I really wanted to push like asymmetry in a lot of these characters, but there is something as far as like an alien technology that's very sophisticated, and you know, start thinking about like the structure, like how we're made up of and everything, very symmetrical in a lot of ways, the two eyes, everything's lined up, and thinking those same kind of terms on almost a mathematical structure. Once it starts becoming so asymmetrical, it becomes in a way almost like it's deformed, you know, and that was kind of the thinking, especially with the technology, is just trying to figure out like it's very perfect, you know, in a lot of ways. And there's that fine line of asymmetry. It looks like it was a mistake, you know. So, but when it comes to like, you know, a weird creature film that is supposed to be like distorted, then you know, I have done stuff that is a little bit more. But for the most part, in this film, it's all about like making it, you know, unique but perfect. I feel fortunate because I do learn a lot in the process of designing, and so working with directors that push me into a place that I would never go, I feel like sometimes I grow as an artist. So each project, sometimes I'll do something I would have never done in the past. But I do look at some of the past things that I've done for that. They did the Worm Guys, and they became this iconic, and that was just an afterthought, you know. But it became something that later on became iconic, and people remembered. And I saw them being executed a little differently, but it was, you know, that was kind of the beginning of my stages to get to where I'm at today. It's like, you know, because it was something from the beginning. It was, you know, designing it, creating it, bringing it on set, and seeing it come to life, and not realizing that it was going to become an iconic character.
How you doing, fellas?
Oh shit! Okay.
That's not decaf, is it?
Viennese cinnamon.
Put the access code through my safe.